Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. MJT, I'm here with my partner in crime, Joey, and we are blessed to be in the presence of the mouth from the south, the muscles from Texas. We're talking about Declan Moody.
Oh, thank you guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. What an intro.
Mate, hyped. I've always been a bit of a fan watching you come up from gi jiu-jitsu. So I think a lot of people don't know that you one of the original gi bad boys, and now you've become this no-gi.
Made the transition.
Yeah.
To the dark side.
Fully crossed over.
That's it.
No more gi for the time being?
For the time being, I haven't trained gi for a long time.
Yeah. But that's how it all started, right?
100%. Yeah, I very rarely train no gi. I would compete occasionally, but I wouldn't train no gi. I just compete, and then
just axe people.
It wasn't like that at all at that point. And then just over the last couple of years, training with Adam and stuff, just dropped the gi.
All right, so let's give a bit of an intro. So for all the people out there, if you haven't heard of Declan before, you're in for a rude shock if you roll with him. You're like, oh, this guy seems nice. Oh, no. But let people know where you're coming from, gym you train at in Australia, when you train abroad. Let people know who you are.
So I'm a black belt from Adelaide. I train at M16 Fight and Fitness. So it's an MMA gym run by Miles Simpson. He's like a pioneer of MMA in South Australia. And myself, Adam Jones, Craig's brother, he'll help me saying that. We run the jiu-jitsu program along with Lockie Warren, so he's a black belt from Absolute. I got my black belt from Marcus and Roberto Satoshi in Japan.
Amazing.
So, yeah, big time gi operators. They won the World Pro and things like this. Satoshi won the Worlds coming up, I think, at every belt level. Yeah. Super famous, and now he's the risen lightweight champion for MMA.
Oh, nice.
And Kleber, the other instructor there, is the risen featherweight champion.
Amazing.
It was amazing training with those guys, and now I just teach out of M16 and just came back from a stint at the BTeam with Craig Jones and all the guys over there.
Amazing. And so even if we throw back a little bit further than that, how did you get started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? What kicked it off?
I was pretty young. I think I was 13. And I was like starting high school and I didn't really have anything else that I was doing, you know, and my family's always on me like to do something. And then watching MMA the whole time, I was like, I don't really want to be punched in the face all that much. So I was like, that grappling stuff, I can get around that. I started training at a place in Adelaide that doesn't exist anymore called Brazilian Top Team. The coach there is a Brazilian black belt, actually moved up to Brisbane and runs the BTT out there now. And then just started training there and then fell in love with it. Amazing.
And so it has evolved for you. So when I first, I guess, became aware of you was probably purple belt. And because I don't know the chronology on your belts, I apologize, but I remember seeing you in competition at purple and brown, and people were like, "Oh, that Declan Moody," and I was like, "Yeah, dang, glad I'm not in competition right now." I think I might have been like one belt ahead of you in the years, but I was always like, I'd watch footage of you compete, and I'd be like, "This guy's a beast." So talk to me about how you became a competitor, because that's what you do.
It was like slow for me. Like it was like Adelaide would have one competition a year, and I was young when I started competing, like 14, and I just lose all the time. Right. Like the first 3 competitions, I didn't win a match, you know, and then I started training a little bit more. And it all started to sort of come together. I won one competition and it ran to another, and I started going on a good run at juvenile, and I was like, oh, I'm getting pretty good at this. And then I got smoked again, and I was like, maybe I just bring myself back down to earth, you know? And then sort of when I turned 16, got my blue belt at juvenile, had a bit of success there. And then the start of my purple belt career, I felt a little bit like a mental block. Like I competed a lot, but I lost a lot. And then I sort of just I started reading books and things like sports psychology stuff, trying to alter just the way I thought of things. And I ended up working to a point where I was like, I need to be at the point where on my worst day mentally, I'm better technically than everyone else to try and win, you know? So even if I have a really bad day, I'm still going to be so far ahead that I can win, you know?
Yeah.
That was my thought process.
That's
and
awesome.
that's still sort of what I try and achieve now, is to try and be so technically proficient that even on my worst day, physically and mentally, I can still perform.
Amazing.
How old were you when you had that, like when you had that realization and started researching that?
I was around 18. Yeah.
Wow. What spurred you onto that?
I think it was necessity. Like, I was doing these tournaments and I felt like some of the guys that I was losing, those guys that were just smashing me, that were far better than me. But there were also guys that I felt like, I was like, man, if I trained with this guy in the gym, I'd walk through him, you know? And I was like, I knew I wouldn't be able to pass the guard. Like, I couldn't stand up. Like, my legs were so shaky. And I was like, there's something that I need to change. And I know my training's good, and I knew it was in my mind. And I was like, I just have to find different thought processes and like different looks from different people. And I started just like looking for some sports psychology books, and different people had different sort of insights. But I also came across Keenan Cornelius, who sort of went through a similar thing. Like, he was fantastic. Like, when he did the double grand slam, he had like a motto. He's like, I'm the best in the world. I just have to go out there and prove it. And just something like that, you know, taking that and telling yourself that every day, you'll start to believe it.
Yeah. And at what point in that, because I do remember you were going over to train in Japan, right?
Yeah.
At what point did you connect with Satoshi and his brother and their gym?
So when Marcus came here for the BOA,
I remember that.
The original BOA, I believe it was, the first one.
I was actually on that card,
Yes,
actually.
yes, you were.
Yeah.
They're in Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when my one of my old coaches got in contact with him and ended up going over and training there. And I was like, oh, I'm going to come along. And then that was a blue belt. So I went like blue through black belt, training with those guys. Yeah, so it was just like happened by chance that he was there for that tournament, my coach was there, and then it all sort of came together.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, how was it training in Japan?
Unbelievable. Different. So different. Because the students there, a lot of them still work like Japanese factory hours. So it's like crazy hours. They're up super early. They work hard all day. And then training starts late. Like, some trainings start at like 9 p.m.
Wow.
And go to 11.
Oof.
And then there's other sessions that start earlier, and they're like 3.5 hour sessions. Like crazy amounts of time, because they don't have the privilege of being able to train during the day or in the morning because they're already working.
So they just got to do monster sessions later.
It's just, just a different sort of culture of training too. Like, it's intense. Like,
They go for it, don't they?
It's crazy.
Like I trained there for a couple of weeks, and it was like, I mean, I was a guest, so maybe it was a bit different, but every role was like life and death, like life or death.
It's like that the whole time.
Yeah, right.
It's incredible training there.
I mean, you're a tall guy. What are you, like 6.5 foot?
6'2".
6'2", okay, I was being a bit generous.
Well,
us guys who are below 6, we tend to think that everyone is above
if he stretched his lats, he'd probably be 6'3".
It's bad because I take pictures with Adam, and he's damn near 7 foot tall. So whenever anyone meets me, they think I'm about like 5'5".
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah. But you would have been fucking tall over there.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like, how's that go?
Yeah, it's so funny because the city that Bonzai Jiu-Jitsu is in, it's like, I don't think they've ever seen a white person before. Like, I'm walking through the city and people are like looking at me like, what this guy's lost, you know? Like, I'm getting on the train and people like moving out the way like, what is wrong with this guy? It's funny.
How cool. What city is that?
It's a city called Hamamatsu. It's like in between Tokyo and Osaka, like directly in between. So middle of nowhere, really.
Yeah. Fucking cool.
Yeah.
I think I saw Satoshi, one of them, compete on Quintet.
Yep.
They both have competed on Quintet. Marcus was on the first one, and Satoshi, I think he even fought to a draw with Gordon.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, wow.
Could be wrong. That was the one in Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, Marcus is the more jacked.
Yeah, right.
But the slightly less achieved in terms of competition gi jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
So I saw Satoshi win in the gi a bunch. And Marcus, I saw at BOA, his hench, he did a full backflip, like layout backflip. It was ridiculous. I was like, this guy's so athletic. And the showmanship that comes through, like, you know.
Those two boys so charismatic.
Yeah. They've really got the hair. They got the look.
Yeah.
And he does the Super Saiyan, like powering up. Like you see Fabrizio Andre do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were doing it 10 years ago. You know?
Right. With the fucking sick Dragon Ball kind of hair. And
So there's this photo of Satoshi out there, and it's like just before he competed Worlds, he's got like a 13 pack, just diced, and he's got the blonde hair pointed up, and it's like that dude's a Tekken character, you know. He's not a real person.
Exactly.
And he would ride in on a motorbike to the gym some days. I'm like, that is like an anime character. And like both those dudes are super sweet, like lovely people. Always,
amazing.
Like looked after me really nicely over there.
did you just on the Japan thing? Did you find there that people's like the style of jiu-jitsu that you would come across? My impression was that I would, there's a bunch of people in the gym and I roll with, a bunch of them. And it was almost like every person had their own unique thing that they do. Yeah. Like there was I remember the guy that would get into your close guard and then cross choke you. Like that was his thing. That was all he did.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there was like the Kimura guy and then there was the leg lock guy. Almost like they kind of have a greater freedom of like self-expression through their jiu-jitsu in a way.
No, I agree. Like I can, when you said that, it was funny. It's like I can picture the people you were talking about almost like identical. There's a guy that just plays spider guard. There's a guy that just like tries to smash you from the top, and they all exactly have that different style. Like sometimes I think here guys sort of just lean towards something they've seen, and then like their coach is showing or something like that, and it's almost like it trickles down from the coach. Like you can feel they all have the same sort of
similar style.
Whereas over there, obviously everyone has a different style, but over there it's like really pronounced.
Yeah, amazing. And so having had that experience and coming up as a gi competitor and doing very well there, because I can't remember which photo it was. At one stage at brown belt, I remember you wearing like a bull terrier gi. I think you might have been sponsored by them at that time. Yeah. And just having all these gold medals. I was like, that's ridiculous. I love this guy, but I hate this guy. And it was awesome to see, like I always try to keep an eye on who is doing the best in Australia, gi or no gi. At what point in the journey, because I trained with Adam Jones and Lachlan Warren and Craig at Absolute. So when Lockie Warren and Craig came, they were both purple belts, and I was a purple belt too. And then later, we had this full South Australian contingent come to Absolute, and then Adam came and trained with us for a period of time, and he's a legend, love him to bits. What point in this whole kind of South Australian jiu-jitsu evolution does it come in that you train with those guys, M16 comes about, and you become a no-gi guy? Sorry, that's a very conflated question.
No. Super late. Like I trained with Craig maybe 2 times before I moved to M16, 2 or 3, you can count them on one hand.
Sure.
Like even though we were in Adelaide, we trained at separate gyms, and then when Craig separated from his gym, he moved to Melbourne.
Yep.
And then I actually trained with Craig for the first time in Japan at Bonzai. And he happened to be there and I happened to be there at the same time. So It's like we were from Adelaide and we've come all the way to train with each other,
How funny.
And like just demolished me then, and it just getting worse and worse. But so I moved from a gym I was training at mostly in the gi in 2019, I believe. And that's when I made the move to M16. And Adam had moved back to Adelaide and was teaching out of there. And I've always had a good relationship with Miles, who, like I said, runs the gym. And it just happened that me and Adam ended up splitting the jiu-jitsu sessions between us and teaching, co-teaching out of there. And so that was around 2019. And then I did a few gi sessions there, but it really didn't take off. The MMA guys, why are we going to put the gi on,
Yeah.
And then with Craig and stuff, just making no-gi so popular. Everyone, especially in Adelaide, everyone's like, oh, that guy went to this high school. Everyone sort of knows Craig, even outside of the jiu-jitsu scene in Adelaide.
Sure.
So it just blew no-gi up in Adelaide, and then
awesome.
I retired the gi.
Yeah,
For
there
now.
you go. Yeah,
Never say never, but for now.
No. That's cool. And talk to me about like how you look at jiu-jitsu now, because we got to hang out with you at the ADCC, which was awesome, and you'd come from BTeam at that time. Because obviously we all follow what's going on in the world of jiu-jitsu, and Craig was there at DDS and those guys. I can't remember the exact date when BTeam was formed, but it's just kind of flourished ever since. At what point did you go, right, I'm going to go to BTeam and do this no-gi thing hard?
Well, originally I wanted to go when Craig was at DDS, and that was sort of around the time COVID started to happen, and Puerto Rico, and I was like, oh, I'll try and get to Puerto Rico, and then I had some issues like leaving the country.
Right.
Like it became very difficult, like to the point where I got invited to do competitions in the UK, and as a British citizen, they wouldn't even let me leave the country. Like,
right.
Wouldn't let me leave Australia to go do competitions over there. So it just got to that point where I was like, we'll just wait it out. Like it's so hard right now to do anything. So I'm super pleased that it turned out the way it did, and the guys started the BTeam, because the vibe there was unbelievable. When I got there, it was like everyone's so friendly, always like trying to help you get better, and like just a great place to be, great environment to train in. The training's hard, but everyone afterwards having a laugh. It's like just good times.
Yeah. And how's Texas, man? Like, because my only other source of information other than Joe Rogan and his degenerate comedic friends is Bobby Sandu.
Yeah.
And Bobby has some stories about...
Bobby's got some tales for sure.
But I don't know if that's just Texas or that's Bobby putting himself in crazy
That's a combination of the two for sure. Austin, I don't think is really Texas. Austin is Austin. Like, it's very different. Like, we were driving out. We did a competition out in Houston. Me, my friend JB, and Joseph Chen.
Yep.
And that's Texas. Like, we're stopping off at like this gas station. It's just got racks of cowboy hats. I was like, this is everyone's like carrying massive weapons, and I was like, this is Texas. Austin, you're like very, very diluted Texas with like a lot of California in there. And,
right. Just people evading taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Is everyone carrying in Austin? You see people carrying?
Everyone is carrying. Like,
were you carrying when you're there?
No, I'm terrified.
Yeah, right.
A friend of mine from the gym took me to shoot for the first time, and I think you could see I'm just sweating. He's like, dude, it's not hot. I was like, I'm terrified. Just like, that was so foreign to me. Like, the weapons is like so scary.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, everyone carries over there still. But I don't know. It's just so much more noticeable when the guy's dressed as a cowboy.
Because they got holsters.
It's not
looks like he's out of a movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hear a lot about Texas because I listen to a lot of tech podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically, all tech bros are like, yo, we're making millions. We got to evade this tax. We're all going to Austin. And it's so interesting that there's been this switch that many people from California and from New York are headed there. Or
has it got low company tax or just low income tax generally?
I think it is. They pay maybe federal tax, but not state tax,
right?
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
You don't get hit as hard as you do in California or anywhere else.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to me because Flow is based in Texas.
Austin.
Yeah,
and it has been for a very long time. That's like not something they moved. I think they've been there for a long time.
And they come and train at BTeam a fair bit too, right? Like,
a lot of the guys. While I was there, I was pretty lucky. Like Howell.
Yep.
He had just separated from Flow at the time, but he was running all the BTeam social media stuff too.
Cool.
And he was like, he's a cool guy. He's had a lot of experiences in jiu-jitsu, to like listen to the stories he has. Yeah. And like, he posted a lot of footage of me, which I'm very grateful for.
Lovely. And look, if it's... Sorry, you go.
I wanted to ask on that. BTeam have... I spend a bit of time on social media, right? I do it for Bulletproof. And what I found really interesting about BTeam and what I think must have been pivotal to their fast growth was that they were extremely active on social media from the beginning. And it's like they have... You can see they have like the CCTV cameras, which like is pretty low quality footage, but they're just filming everything. And so people can chop it up and do whatever. But then I'm assuming there's also people going around on the mats
Yeah, there's.
How does that work?
There's normally someone there, like a dedicated social media guy who's running the YouTube and like with the high definition cameras and stuff.
Right.
The CCTV, I think, was just for Craig to send videos of him suplexing me to Adam. And be like, look what I did to Declan today. You know,
Brutal. Yeah, foot sweeps left, right, and center.
Oh, so bad. But yeah, there's always someone there filming. You know, especially now they're really pushing the YouTube channel, and like I think it's the best jiu-jitsu content out there for sure.
It's fun,
country mile,
super fun.
Good personalities, I think.
How does it work? So like, there's someone there filming. Are they using that content then, like that's just for BTeam, or do they kind of share that around with some of the people like yourself and encourage you to post it as well?
When I was there, it was great. Like, because the BTeam would use certain footage, and then whatever was left over, Hal would just email me, just be like, hey, I got this cool clip of you if you want to use it, and like just super free, like
mad,
just throwing it around, which was for me great. You know,
so positive. Yeah, it's tough as an athlete, right? You're so focused on your training and just taking the beatings, giving the beatings, just trying to deal with that. To then, I got to run my own media campaign.
I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad at social media. The only reason I post is because if I don't, Adam will be on my case. He's like, it's been 2 weeks, Declan. What are you doing? He's like, you've got to do it. I'm like, oh, come on, man. He's like, nah. He'll send me captions and everything. Basically, Adam should really run my social media. He's basically my manager at this point anyway. He's always messaging guys being like, so you got a super fight show? Declan hasn't got a fight. They need to put him on. He just comes to me some days. He's like, oh, you're going to fight in Sydney in like 2 months. I was like, oh, cool. Who am I fighting? He's like, this guy. I was like, all right. I was like, what weight? I was like, oh, man, I'm going to have to cut weight now, Adam. He just does it. Like, he's so cool because he knows, like, I'll just take any match. So
yeah, that's awesome.
So he just reaches out, does all the hard work. He's like, Declan, you got to be ready then.
Yeah, and it's kind of almost what you need, isn't it? As a professional jiu-jitsu athlete, you kind of need someone to organize that for you in ways. So it's pretty cool you got Adam there. I guess I wanted to ask the next question from the perspective of someone who might be really following BTeam, really intrigued. I mean, even myself, when I was talking with you and I've talked to Bobby and even talking to the guys at Sydney West Martial Arts, I'd said that at some point I do want to get over there, get to Austin and train. I'd like to go to New Wave just to feel it and obviously be there in the presence of those guys because it strikes me that it's a big guy, Matt. You know what I mean?
There's some big boys
there's
over there.
Giants. And I guess I haven't really spoken to anyone who's trained at both camps because it just doesn't seem like that's a done thing. But the reason why I ask this question is, say there's someone out there who is following you or is following Craig and wants to get in on the big BTeam energy. What's that like, mate? Because you've had that experience. What's it like to be there as an athlete, try and live there, train? How does that work?
There's lots of people that can go over and do it. I think there's like a right and a wrong way to do it. Luckily for me, I've known Craig for a very long time, and he's always been super kind to me. He's always given me a lot of his time, and I really appreciate it. So I had sort of that in. But even then, like, I wasn't like rolling in the door being like, oh, can I train with you? Can I roll with you? You know, I train with the guys that I'd come in, do all the train with the casual guys. And then just through training, you sort of like build a rapport with everyone, and then you start to train with the better guys, and they want to train with you and you want to train with them. And then you sort of build up a relationship. I think the wrong way to go about it is just burst in and try and be like this big personality and try and smash all the guys. I think you just, you know.
It's just not going to happen though, right?
You earn the respect in that room, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of beatings Nicky Rod gave me was unbelievable, you know? Yeah. I think he saw a guy, like, walk in who's over 200 pounds, and he's like, that's all me, you know? Like, any guy that sort of is a bit bigger, Nicky Rod's licking his lips when you walk through
that's
the door.
my body.
He's
fresh
like,
meat, baby.
That's it. He's like, I can throw this guy around. And you got to take those licks and then build that respect.
But I mean, in terms of living there, because I think I had asked you this, how is it? Because people have asked me before, how is it to go live in Brazil and do that?
Yeah.
And it can be fuckery.
Yeah.
To be completely honest. What is it like to live in, like, rent and...
Austin is expensive. Like
Right.
every aspect of Austin is expensive. The food's expensive. The rent is crazy expensive. Luckily for me, it was like Ben Hodge and Kaya went over at the same time.
Nice.
So we ended up getting a house together at the start, which is funny because they both actually beat me at the trials. So
Oh, suckers.
I considered like smothering them in their sleep. I mean, like, never again. But that's the best way to do it. If you can find some people like to sort of room share, house share, just put as many people in a house as you can just to try and cut those costs. Food, supermarkets like can be really expensive. You got to try and find the right things. Like,
Well, what's the hack there? Is there like an Asian supermarket? Or
I wish I knew the hack, but it's like like I walk by and it's like $6 for a bag of Doritos US. I'm like, this is like $10 for a bag of Doritos.
What?
Like, I was like, isn't this supposed to be cheap over here? So you just have to find the things that are on sale, and like, especially like being a jiu-jitsu athlete, the money's not. I'm not driving a Bentley to training, you know.
Yeah.
So luckily for us, we found places to stay that were within walking distance, and like super close walking distance too.
Amazing.
It was like 2-minute walk. It was so.
And they don't have any public transport in Texas, really, do they?
They do have buses. I don't know how thorough they are, but I know a couple of guys did catch the bus. But I don't know if I'd trust getting on a bus there. There's some interesting
I heard there's
units
some
around the place.
sketchy characters. Like Bobby was telling me a story about buying a bike. I won't go into it real heavy. We might save that for him to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a degree of crack fiends going around.
Yeah,
right?
I saw this lady who looked rather unwell ram an Audi with her shopping trolley full of her, what I imagine are her clothes, and then I watched the Audi chase her down the footpath and try and run her over.
Whoa!
And I was like, I just want to go get some bread and milk, you know? Like, this is a bit hectic for going to the shops.
God damn, that's crazy.
Crazy place.
Dude. Intense.
What's the talk to us about some of the characters at the gym? You know, would be remiss to not. Obviously, Nicky Rod, he's the big dude. Everyone knows him. What's it like training with guys like Nicky Ryan, Ethan Krellenstein?
Nicky Ryan feels like he's put the weight of the world on top of you. Like, at the time, he was cutting to 77 for the trials, and I was around 92, 93. And I was like, why is this guy twice as heavy as me? Like, the pressure that guy can create is unbelievable.
He's a strong unit, isn't he?
Not just strong, he's obviously strong, but like
Positioning
is unbelievable. Like, you can't move him at all. Every like movement, you're just fatiguing yourself. Ethan just has an answer for everything. He's so slippery. He's like an owl, dude. He can like turn his back the whole way around and like escape from crazy positions. Craig's obviously a freak, like just so good, has all the answers.
Is Craig in there much? Bobby had mentioned that he's only in there a couple of days. Or is he training every day?
When I was there, he was training every day, almost twice a day.
Oh, wow.
And we were doing Sundays and everything, like especially because it was the lead up to ADCC. Like, it was on the whole time.
Yeah, right.
So many guys like in that building.
Tell me this. So something that I think a lot of people would have thought when those guys split from DDS was that, you know, John Danaher was the guy. He was kind of like the oracle. They split from him, formed this team. There's, at least from an outsider's view, there's no clear leader. It was like, hey, we're all kind of top-level dudes, and we want to go start this thing. And I had thought to myself, it'd be interesting to see what happens technically, because there's no one that's like, you know, I'm the oracle who's doing the study and then bringing the techniques. But clearly, that hasn't affected the team, right? Clearly, like, there's been amazing growth and development all the same. How does that work? Is there someone who is kind of the head coach? Is Craig that guy? Or is it like an open sharing kind of exploratory thing?
I wouldn't say there's anyone who's a head coach, you know, like all the coaches. It's funny because, like you say, it's so open. You could have a question and ask each coach and get 5 correct answers, you know, 6 correct answers, and they'll all be completely different. I think that's actually how it's evolving. Is just so many different minds and thought processes coming together, and just someone will learn something, and then the next person will add to that and build on that and build on that. And I think that's how it's evolving.
Wow. And it's a big mat, right? Like I seem to remember I saw the first ever open mat at BTeam. It's like 120 dudes or something. It's
huge. Like you can get like 70, 80 people on there and like not run into anyone, you know?
Wow. Yeah. And how do you find it, like you yourself being, I guess there, being a competitor there, but obviously having the relationship, and you know, you're there with Hodgkinson and Kaya. Like there's a lot of Aussies going to BTeam. How do you find being there as, I guess, someone who is established there and then also other tourists coming in? How do you find that?
It's super cool, like super lucky to have that many different people come in. Like you say, I already had that sort of rapport with Craig, and I've known Craig for a long time. But it's just everyone so cool with everyone. Like anyone who comes in is always made to feel welcome. There's never any like animosity with anyone. Like it's never like, oh, that guy's in my division, I don't want to train with that guy, I don't want to do this. You know, everyone is just open, shares techniques, shares the mat, does rounds. Super cool, has a laugh afterwards, you know?
Yeah. Is it? Sorry, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you know, we've all trained at many gyms, all right? And I feel like at some point, like, you know, just the nature of the training and the nature of the sport, like, tension builds up. And if you've got a good gym and you've got good relationships, usually there's things within the culture that allow you to kind of address that. You're like, oh, fuck, it's getting a bit heated. Hey, man, we should just fucking cool it a bit. You know, yeah, you're right. You know, like communication between teammates and that sort of thing. But what I always think of is like when you have a lot of high-level competitors who are obviously having to train at a very high intensity, surely that must be harder to manage. Do you see anything that's being done there that's unique, or any kind of thing that they do that helps to kind of keep it what it is, or is it just an organic thing right now?
I think it's organic. I think it's just the nature of the people in there. Like, even though these guys are like top level competitors, the ego is not there. Like, you never feel like someone thinks they're too good to like train with you or talk to you or answer your question. You never feel like someone doesn't want to train with you because you're not like tough enough, or, you know. I never felt anything like that. Even like a good example that I thought of is Kenta, who put on an amazing performance, not only at the trials, like won the trials, and then put on an amazing performance against JT Torres.
Bro, he
like, unbelievable.
Awesome. Bro, I never seen anyone do that to JT Torres.
And I think you saw that in JT's next match. He was
smoked. Yeah.
Still. He was in the same division as Nicky Ryan, but like the guys invited him to come train, and like Nicky and him would train all the time in the gym. Like, I think that was a good example of like, they're going to go compete at ADCC, you know, but still you can share techniques and work together, and both of you are going to get better from that, you know?
It strikes me that they are both humble, nice guys. Like, because both, like Kenta came and hung out with us in the booth, and so did Nicky just after he lost.
Yeah.
He was so shattered, but he was also very hungry.
He's a hungry,
That's right.
hungry man.
People are like, don't talk to Nicky.
Just give him
Let
pizza.
him
eat. But he would love, it seems like they're very like lovely, soft-spoken humans. So you just chat to them, oh, he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know,
lovely
like
people.
That's kind of cool that they're so savage, but then still such good people. And I mean, man, what was, so you had done how long at BTeam before we saw you at the ADCC?
I think that was like perfectly halfway. I think it was 6 weeks and then 6 weeks after.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now that you've done that and you're back now, training, back in Australia, doing your thing, what does the rest of the year look like for you, Mr. Moody?
So everything going to plan. I have Subversion in March, so I'll be back here in Sydney, which will be good.
No-Gi, obviously.
No-Gi. Against the guy, Marcelo Gomita, I believe. Sorry if that pronunciation is awful. So he's
just talking shit about you, Marcelo.
Yeah,
you just need to
He
know.
knows how to say it.
He's baiting you.
He's really talented. Like I think he moved to Australia the last couple of years. I don't know too much about him. But
I'll look this up right now.
Yeah, his like track record.
Pull it up, young Julian.
He's placed at the No-Gi Worlds a bunch of times and the Gi Worlds.
And he's Sydney based?
Yeah, he's a Gracie Baja guy, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, very talented. So I'm looking forward to that
Nice.
challenge. And then back to the US in June. I'm going to try and do another 3 months. Funds allowing that to happen.
Of course.
And then I'm going to do the European trials in September. And then I'm going to win that, so I don't have to do the Australian trials after that at all.
Nice.
That's the game plan.
That's perfect. And so speaking to your European origins, we were just saying you bear a striking resemblance to Michael Bisping.
That's it. Related.
And yeah, mate, I mean, how is it? Have you spent any time training in the UK at all?
Nah. I've trained one session in the UK at a small gym near where I'm from, but like not a high level competitor. I think it was run by a purple belt at the time.
Okay.
But hopefully this year I'll actually get over there, and because I've got some super fight opportunities over there that unfortunately haven't come off in the last couple of years, but the opportunity is still there, so I'm definitely going to get over there.
So is that like Polaris
I've had
or
offers,
Fest, or?
yeah, Polaris and Grapple Fest. So hopefully Grapple Fest has been trying to get me on for a long time, and now
Amazing.
we can make it happen, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be so good, brother. And so when you think about like the ADCC, obviously it was so big when we were there, and it's only getting bigger, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about it, like in terms of yourself? Like you're obviously very determined to get up on that stage and show your skills. You know, you're still very young. You've got a good career in front of you. Do you feel that the key for you will be to just keep getting over to BTeam, or do you feel that at a critical point there'll be enough competitors and enough good dudes in Australia that you'll be able to do like an ADCC camp here? What's your thinking on that?
For me, BTeam's the best option at the moment, just because what's the word? Like the concentration of great training partners and great information is all in one spot. In Australia, we've got such a great level now. Like if you look like the last 10 years, how much we've improved, but we're still spread out.
It's distributed.
You know?
Yeah.
If we could, like over time, I think it's going to come together. But obviously there are great gyms with great competitors here, but there's a lot of places with like 1 or 2, 3, 4 good guys. You know, it's not a room of 30 guys that are trying to win the trials, and then there's already 8 guys that are in the ADCC, you know, at BTeam.
Yeah.
Like we just don't have that yet. Like we're definitely approaching that. And I think maybe 5 years we'll have something like that here, but we're just not there yet.
Is there any rumors that Craig might come back to Australia?
I don't know. It's like, it's hard. I don't know what he wants to do, but hopefully that'd be nice for me.
No, that's awesome. And so for yourself, do you have any insight or so if you were giving advice to like your younger self, yourself like 6 years ago or whatever, and we got like a young up and coming grappler or someone who really wants to go bigger in no-gi, what would be your 2 or 3 best piece of advice to them that you've learned in your current journey?
That's a good question. I would say do what's best for you. You know, this sport, I've made amazing friends. I've got lifelong friends, but you do have to make selfish choices sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like that is just an unfortunate part of this. You want to help as many people as you can, but also you have to take time for yourself too. And that sounds awful, but there are decisions you have to.
It sounds logical.
To make as an athlete to be like, I have to go and do this. Luckily,
do you mean in terms of leaving a gym and going to a different gym?
Sometimes that's an option. Like for a good example for me was I went to the US this year, and you know I left Miles and Adam to teach the jiu-jitsu on their own. You know. But luckily for me, those guys are my biggest supporters, and they push me to do that. Like, you need to find these people to surround yourself with that understand that you need to do these things. And like I said, luckily for me, those boys have had my back always, you know. That would be the biggest thing is don't always try and please everyone around you. Like, people will be upset with decisions you make, and you just have to look out for yourself sometimes and try and find the best thing for you, especially in this sport, like competitively.
Yeah. And so you've been up here in Sydney teaching a gang of seminars, doing all that, sharing your knowledge. What is the best way for people to be able to get in contact with you? Obviously, they just need to contact Adam Jones, right? Like,
yeah, straight through my manager, Adam Jones. That's the best way, honestly. Either that or my girlfriend. Either one, they sort of just channel it all in and then tell me what I need to do. But in all seriousness, yeah, if you want to just shoot me a message on Instagram, Declan Moody, and then we can sort out some training.
Sounds good.
Fucking A, bro.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited. It was such a great thing to, one, be at the ADCC, but then also get to hang out with you because you're a good human. And then, you know, I was lucky enough to get to train with you last Friday at Grappling Education. We're doing back attack stuff. Nice. And
would have been fun, I imagine.
Oh, fucking hell.
It's
The
like
back,
fucking
the
arms.
body triangle, the body triangle on this guy's legs. But the hand,
He wasn't talking for a couple of days, but
right. the hand sneak under the chin, and I'm like, I am not. I felt like a little bit sore under my chin, and it's fine. Like, that's part of it, right? Like, you didn't crush my face, which I appreciate. But then afterwards, I've had like a little bit of a graze under my chin. Mate, it's been like dandruff under this motherfucker. You're like, oh my God, I'm losing skin cells. It's like, God, that fucking Declan Moody. But it was great, mate. I think you were very nice to me, actually. You didn't roll me too hard. I've seen how hard you roll, and you were very nice. But I think what my long story short is, we got to hang out with you just in person, hanging out at the event. It would be so good, I think, next ADCC to see you out there, bro. Like,
that's it. And then come back up to the booth again and
just eat pizza.
Eat pizza and burger, have some beers.
yeah, bro.
The best.
Edibles, all that. That'd be good. Man,
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Fucking best of luck on the journey.
Thank you very much.
My
Cheers.
guy.
Thanks, fam. YouTube fam, thank you guys for listening. Make sure subscribe to the channel, give us a like. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, please do us a favor. It's a small thing that you can do, but it's a big deal for us, is to just give us 5-star review, because, of course, we're only worth 5 stars. But also subscribe to the show. That just helps the app know that this is a sick show and that other people should listen to it. And then we can keep having more epic conversations like we just did with Declan. Thank you. See you next time.
Peace.